Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Gardener. So in today's video I'm going to show you how you can differentiate between what is direct sunlight, indirect bright light and shade. A lot of times we tend to get confused when people say you need to keep your succulents in indirect bright light but not direct sunlight. So there's a lot of confusion. Now let me warn you, this is going to be a very lame example, but back in 2015-2016 the light meters app was not available. So this is how I used to try and differentiate whether the indirect bright light is bright enough or is it shade, and it has been working out really well. So that's what I'm going to show it to you in this video. Again, as I said, it's a very lame kind of an example, but probably it might help you out, or it might help you understand indirect bright light much better. I would also like to apologize because the next couple of clips of the videos are going to be quite noisy. There's going to be a lot of background noise because of the strong wind during the afternoons, and during the evenings there is a lot of strong wind and the metal roof is going to make a lot of noise. So I'm extremely sorry for that, but I hope that this video is going to be helpful to you. Now we're not talking about partial shade, partial sun. We're just talking about with the very simple thing, which is indirect bright light, direct sunlight and shade. Now here, as you can see, I have my green net over here. You can see the green net, the shade of the green net. Then we have direct sunlight in the center, and then this is shade. This is like a proper shade. Now the best way to understand what is indirect bright light, what is direct sunlight and what is shade, you don't need a light meter for this. It's all about the shadow. Now your direct sunlight is going to cast a very dark shadow because that is direct sunlight. In shade you won't be able to see any of your shadow, as simple as that. So it's very simple. Direct sunlight is going to cast a very dark shadow. Shade is not going to cast any shadow. So of course you cannot keep your succulents in shade. Now talking about indirect bright light, now this is my green net. Now you can see the indirect bright light will also cast a shadow. Now the more darker it tends to cast the shadow, the much better. This is also more than enough. You can see it still tends to cast the shadow, and as the indirect bright light starts to reduce, you will not be able to see the shadow. So the more darker the shadow, the much better it is. This is indirect bright light. So we have indirect bright light, we have direct sunlight, and then we have shade. So in shade there is no shadow, direct sunlight a very dark cast of the shadow, and in indirect bright light you have a shadow but it's not as dark as the direct sunlight. The lesser the indirect bright light, the lesser the indirect light, the more faint the shadow will cast. So this is how you can understand. So anything that tends to cast shadow is good for succulents. Afternoon direct sunlight, you'll have to use a green shade cloth. So even indirect bright light will cast a shadow. When you don't see a shadow, that's basically shade, where you're not going to keep your succulents. If you have a filtered light, if you have a dappled sunlight, you will still see a faint shadow, and that's more than enough. Now here again I have a good amount of succulents. You can see they are very brightly colored, very compact. They have already got their share of morning sunlight, but right now it's the floor. It looks like it's in the shade, but the floor, because it is these tiles, they tend to reflect light. Now even though they have already received the morning direct sunlight, if I'm going to take my hand closer to the wall, you will be able to see it's still casting a shadow. I'm so sorry that this is the roof that is making the noise because it's very windy, so I'm extremely sorry about that. So as you can see over here, it still tends to cast not a very dark cast of the shadow, but it's still good enough. Now it's absolutely okay for my succulents because they have already received the share of morning direct sunlight for 5 to 6 hours. That's why you can see they are very compact. Yes, another reason is that they are being a little bit underwatered, but overall you can see they are very compact, good amount of coloration, and this is because this is like the bonus light that they're receiving, indirect bright light, because of the floor that tends to reflect the light. So a reflective light is also a form of indirect bright light. So they have already received the morning direct sunlight for 5 to 6 hours, and now what they're receiving is a bonus light, and you can see it is going to cast a very faint shadow. This is my green shade cloth. As you could hear, it's very windy, and the shade cloth has kind of moved because I don't have anything supporting over there. It's just kind of tucked in with some rocks and a brick, and then I have tied a wire to it which has come off, so I have to climb up and put that thing back again. So this is what tends to make that noise, because with the wind is so strong over here that every time this green cloth kind of gets ripped off, and this is, you can see how windy it is. So this is what tends to make the noise. And then I have my succulents right beneath it. Again, these guys have already received the morning direct sunlight for 5 to 6 hours. This is from the right, that's where the sun tends to come in, and now they are getting the afternoon sunlight. Now of course afternoon sunlight is not good for succulents, that's why we have the green net, which I have to again climb up and push it to the right side because it has moved. That's why this place is getting a little bit more of that direct sunlight, but it is like more of the dappled. You can see it's not very stable because the green net keeps moving, so I have to go up and fix it once again. But you can see even this is casting that shadow, so that's why my succulents are very compact, very colorful, because they get both the direct sunlight as well as afternoon indirect sunlight. So all of them are looking perfect, they're very compact. Now this is the reason why a lot of people are having a little hard time getting color on the succulent, because of course they're not getting a lot of light. And this is one of the reasons why my succulents are so brightly colored, because they get sun throughout the day, be it in the form of direct sunlight, be in the form of indirect afternoon sunlight. Never expose your succulents to direct afternoon sunlight, they will get burnt. You can see this one has just within 2 days it got burnt a little bit over here because the green shade cloth has moved. I have to put it back again, but you can see overall the succulents are very compact, they're very colorful because of that good amount of light. Both the direct and indirect bright light has a good amount of intensity. That's why you can see they're very compact, very beautifully colored. So that's all about it, guys. I know a lot of you do not get forget about direct sunlight, you guys don't even get indirect bright light, so I can understand how difficult it must be for you guys to grow succulents, and keeping them compact must be a very very big challenge, because I have seen some of the pictures wherein the succulents are stretching due to lack of light. And a lot of people ask me, how do I maintain such compact succulents? One is I tend to do a little bit less watering, which I wouldn't recommend you, because I have a good experience with growing succulents, so I know where to draw the line when it comes to underwatering. But I would advise you guys to do a balanced watering, and sunlight is, or the light is, the most important thing. So this is the two things that tend to keep my succulents very compact and colorful. That is a little bit less watering and a good amount of light, either in the form of both in form of direct morning sunlight and then indirect afternoon sunlight. So in this way all of my succulents are very compact. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep propagating.